right, let's jump right into this explainer. We're looking at a business rivalry so massive it has literally defined global consumer culture for over a century. I mean, we're talking about two companies, billions of dollars, and a relentless corporate clash that has shaped how we buy things. Yet, despite 100 years of fierce competition, neither has managed to knock the other out. Which leads us to a fascinating paradox. Why has this rivalry lasted 100 years without a definitive winner? Seriously, how did two absolute giants spend fortunes trying to destroy each other, yet they both continue to thrive? We're going to unpack exactly how they do it. And honestly, the answer is pretty mind-blowing.
Part 1. The 100-Year War.
To understand the century-long stalemate, we got to look back at their shared origins. You know, neither of these juggernauts started out as corporate empires. No, they both began as simple, local pharmacy beverages, small-town tonics mixed up in neighborhood drugstores. But over the decades, their parallel growth was just staggering. They rapidly evolved into dominant national brands across the US and ultimately transformed into those ubiquitous global icons we all recognize today.
Part 2. The Cola Wars escalate.
Of course, that peaceful coexistence couldn't last forever. The rivalry rapidly intensified when both brands realized the global market was a prize they desperately wanted to control. And they didn't just compete on store shelves, they took the fight straight to culture itself. Both brands started pouring unbelievable amounts of money into aggressive advertising and high-profile sponsorships. They battled to secure the absolute biggest celebrity endorsements of the era, famously shelling out millions from megastars to literally just hold their can of soda. Add in an aggressive global expansion strategy, and they were fighting street by street, country by country.
Part 3. Tradition versus youth.
So how did they actually fight this war? Well, when the liquid in the bottle is fundamentally similar, the real battlefield becomes the consumer's mind. Coke chose to sell happiness, tradition, and nostalgia. They leaned heavily into emotional storytelling. You know, the classic holiday ads bringing families together. Pepsi, on the other hand, realized they couldn't beat Coke at the tradition game, so they pivoted entirely. They aggressively positioned themselves as youthful, modern, and edgy. By aiming directly at younger generations, they framed themselves as the drink for the future, not the past. This brand rivalry reached a fever pitch with the legendary Pepsi Challenge. This was a completely revolutionary blind taste test campaign, where Pepsi poured two unbranded cups of cola in public spaces and just asked people which one tasted better. And time after time, people chose Pepsi. This was a massive strike against Coca-Cola's dominance, because it boldly claimed that when you strip away all that emotional marketing and tradition, Pepsi simply tasted better. But here is the real catch, and a profound lesson for us in business. Winning a taste test definitely does not equal long-term success. Coca-Cola learned very quickly that a sweeter sip didn't automatically win the war. Why? Because long-term consumer preference is built on deep brand loyalty and habit, not just a momentary flavor preference. People were consistently buying the tradition and the feeling of Coke, regardless of a blind sip test. Part 4. The unseen battlefield. Let's look at what keeps these companies alive beyond just the branding. Behind the flashy TV ads is a relentless, highly optimized operational machine. Both companies pour billions into an unbreakable four-step ecosystem. Constant marketing, incredibly complex global distribution networks, and ironclad retail partnerships to secure the absolute best shelf space. The ultimate goal? Make sure their product is always within arm's reach of desire, everywhere on Earth. If you want a Coke or a Pepsi, you never have to look hard to find one. That infrastructure is their true superpower. Part 5. Adapting to health trends. As time went on, the world started changing, and a new, shared threat emerged. Consumers became increasingly health-conscious. The era of everyone drinking multiple sugary sodas a day began to decline, presenting a massive existential threat to both companies. To survive, they had to aggressively adapt by introducing healthier, low-sugar, and zero-sugar alternatives that fit into a modern lifestyle without losing their core brand identities. And that adaptation didn't stop at just modifying cola recipes. To reduce their dangerous dependence on soft drinks, both titans executed massive diversification strategies. They completely transformed into total beverage and snack empires, branching out into bottled water, fruit juices, and sports drinks. Pepsi took it even further, dominating the snack aisle. They realized that to keep winning, they had to own whatever you were eating or drinking, whether you're at the gym, having breakfast, or on a road trip. Part 6. Why both brands win.
Which brings us to the ultimate revelation of this explainer. The truth is, intense direct competition doesn't guarantee a single winner and a single loser. Instead, it acts as a powerful catalyst. Having a terrifyingly competent rival breathing down your neck drives constant innovation. It forces both companies to create better marketing, it drastically expands customer choice, and most importantly, it completely prevents corporate complacency. Neither brand can ever afford to get lazy because they literally need each other to stay sharp.
This entire rivalry proves a crucial point about long-term business success. Surviving a century isn't just about having a better product. It is achieved through mastering the art of branding, continuous innovation, building unbreakable customer loyalty, and rapid adaptation. It's about consistently delivering value in a constantly shifting market. That is the real secret to outlasting everyone else.
I want to leave you with this powerful thought from our source material. In business, the greatest rival isn't always your biggest threat. Sometimes it's the reason you keep getting better. Coca-Cola and Pepsi have survived for over 100 years because of each other, not in spite of each other. Thanks for joining me for this explainer. So it leaves us with one final question to think about. Who is the rival in your life that is secretly forcing you to be better?